came right out of the Office of Science, Technology, and Policy. These are not my quotes. I sat with John Holdren, the President's Science Advisor, on 2 meetings, and every time he starts his meeting, he says, we need more science teachers to promote science, STEM, STEM, and you hear it over and over again, along with other acronyms. So there's so many acronyms now in education, it's like, I think we need like a texting dialogue, LOL or AARP, or we just definitely need a cheat sheet of all of the different acronyms. But there will be 1 million additional graduates with so-called STEM degrees coming out soon. And what's interesting is that many of you are sitting in this room right now. Like yourselves, I pursued a degree in biology and went forward with that degree and then went into teaching. I then realized, continued to realize that there are problems out there, and the president has made many different statements on what we need to do, and one of them is NSF-supported initiatives. Yes, we do need new initiatives to increase the number of students studying STEM subjects. That's why so much money is going out now for principal investigators at universities to kind of team up with high school teachers and like yourself to do labs. And one of the big topics could be nanotechnology. Another big topic could be molecular biology. There are so many different fields that are pushing this, particularly in the engineering sciences. And this is, again, an innovative way to promote that next generation of scientists. If we invest in our future scientists by granting them the ability to study these subjects and then give them the opportunity to perhaps enter the classroom, like, for example, what happens with Noyce Fellows, this is a really intriguing way to get more math and science teachers in our classrooms, particularly in underrepresented districts. One of the other interesting things here is that a lot of large corporations are investing, like you guys seen earlier in the ExxonMobil commercial. They're taking on these challenges too. So corporate America sees this as an issue. But one of the things that you have to consider too with corporate America is that people are coming out of STEM careers. Do you pick teaching? Do you pick research? Or do you go into corporations? So how do we pick and get and restructure our system so we have more hands-on activities for both teachers and students, and that's kind of how I got to where I am now. So I believe that really to produce informed science-minded students, we need to couple those science-minded students with science-minded instructors. But not only that, I feel the need, and this is my opinion, so you do not have to believe me here. Like Arthur used the word believe. You don't have to believe me here. But how I feel, and in my opinion, we need more scientists in the classroom. In my cohort of graduating class in the Department of Ecology and Evolution, when I received my PhD, there were people buying postdocs. Why not have scientists in the classroom working side by side with an educator? Why not have a first-year teacher coupled with a scientist who's been working at a university and perhaps teaching undergraduate biology and who can spin off AP Biology 1, 2, 3? Why not have an AP Biology teacher hooked up with a scientist? Where that scientist is funded by, say, perhaps NSF. So it is at no cost to the district. We need to think of more, I would say, out-of-the-box approaches to start thinking about how we create, one, the next generation of scientists, two, solve our math and science crisis where we are. Do we want to be 26? No, we don't want to be 26. We want to be 1 and 2. So I'm saying, in my opinion, let's try and see if there is a way to have these NSF initiatives. So in July, I actually spoke with the head of NOAA, and they are offering teacher opportunities. And the teacher opportunities would be to perhaps persuade a teacher to go back for a PhD while working in the classroom. Then there came to the conclusion that, well, you have to do coursework too. And then my comment was, well, everything's online. MIT streams all their stuff online. Most local universities stream their stuff online. So why not have this opportunity to have these scientists in the classroom, but try to make ways to make it happen? So it is an approach, it is an idea, it is in its early stages, but it is something that is not impossible. And how I can show that to you is I did it. I went back to Stony Brook University, and in so doing, I bridged the gap between this minority district on Long Island and this, what I would call, Brentwood University. And I call it Brentwood University because Brentwood University at the high school, we have a full state-of-the-art, full-service lab that allows me to do pretty much whatever I want in terms of molecular biology. I can do quantitative PCR, real-time PCR. I can ask questions about aquatic systems. I can rear aquatic systems, of which I'll show you some of the modules in the lab. And they're not mine, they're the students. So what's coming out of this little Stony Brook University is the result of the students, and it really isn't the result of me. All I am is the motivator. So I went back to school in 2007. And I guess you could say my going back to the university in 2007 was, it was purely driven by craziness. I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 27. I had found out in 2007 that I had a recurrence. And rather than deal with psychological pain and going through chemotherapy again, I enrolled in a graduate program. Got on the phone. Hi, this is Rebecca Grella. Jessica, do you remember me? Oh, yeah, I'm busy right now. I'm like, no. I don't have time, Jess. I need to know something. It was July. Like, I want to come back to the program because I left at the master's in ecology and nutrition. So I sold myself back into the program. But I sold myself back into the program with we had contingency guidelines. That I would do my research full-time. I would stay enrolled full-time. I would have my committee meetings like everyone else, and I would pass the preliminary examinations and all of the necessary steps. I would go through every hoop. And this was an arduous task because I had taken the coursework 10 years prior. So I had to study all the stuff on my own, working with the new graduate students, we're going through all this stuff, and it was insane. So needless to say, I did really well on one half of the exam, and then I had to go to special classes because I didn't do too well on one other half of the exam. And the half of the exam that I didn't do well on was the evolutionary aspect of how things change. And what I questioned for my work and for my PhD was I wanted to understand the invasion biology of Centurion aggressivus. And if you look into this carefully, it's almost a metaphor for going through cancer. I studied the cancers of the environment when I couldn't study cellular biology and biochemistry. I couldn't sit in a lab working on systems and looking at promoters and understanding tyrosine kinases and really looking at cancer. But I could look at cancers of the environment. So what I did was focus my question on the invasion biology of Centurion aggressivus. And what I did with this question is I brought this question back to Brentwood. And crazily, I built a lab, a molecular lab. I applied for some grants through Biorad. And at the time, Excel was building, we had an Excel grant in New York State to put money into new programs. So I pitched to the superintendent that I had a great new program that would build this lab. So the lab that I used for all of my work, I amplified all of my specimens from Europe and North America in the lab at Brentwood. And then all we did was, with my students, we sent out all of the samples to the University of Washington for sequencing. So we did everything but sequencing. All the extractions were done in the classroom. All of the, all of the analysis was done in the lab here at the high school. And again, the students were involved in every aspect, from growing the plants in the greenhouse, collecting data on the plants with me. It was a small task. I should say it was a large task with a small army. And this just goes to show that research really requires these partnerships. So this is my advisor, Dr. Jessica Gurevich. This is my student Samantha, over a salt marsh here that we built in the classroom. We produce high quality publications, for those of you that presented your posters, we do the same. This is Vivian Wong. She was a Siemens semi-finalist in 2011. And research really, for me and for my students, it's a team sport. I learn from them more than I learned from watching the Discovery Channel. They're coming up with new things every day and asking questions that I never would have thought of. So our program is very unique. We service grades 10 through 12. There are approximately 16 students enrolled in the class at a time. At the present moment, we have about 75 students that are enrolled in five classes per day. So we run 3 sections of 10th grade research, a section of 11th grade research, and a section of 12th grade research. And what happens as they go along is you do see people fall out of the program. Because asking questions and doing your own independent research isn't easy. It wasn't even easy for me. And for my students to see that I did it, and I'm still concurrently doing it and working with my colleagues at the university, it really allows them to see what science is all about from that bird's eye perspective. Now, I am not working with a curriculum like, what Arthur presented with, Chemistry Alive. I'm working with what has already been instituted with these students, either in biology and chemistry or physics. So they have a very minimal background.